Following all the rules and laws can be such a pain. Some of them really make no sense. What do we have to gain? But sometimes it is necessary to tell people what to do. It helps to make this world of ours much safer for me and you. So next time you see a sign saying, "Slow down, don't do that, beware," remember that these rules exist to make you more aware. The English language has lots of rules, but fortunately we don't have to follow them all the time. Talking of time, guess what? It's Sunday afternoon here in the UK, it's 2 o'clock, and this is Live English. Dibby 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 boo. Oh my goodness, is it true? Is it really happening? Is this reality? That's what I ask myself. Is this really happening right now on the internet? Am I really here right now live? Oh my goodness, it's so stressful. Hi everybody, this is Mr. Duncan in England. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you happy? I really hope so. Here we go then. Sunday and everything is back to normal. We are back, baby. Did you miss me last Sunday? I know I wasn't here last week. I do apologise once again for not being here. But at least I'm here now. Thank you very much for joining me today. A lot of things have been happening over the past couple of weeks. It has been crazy. I cannot begin to tell you how high my stress level has been. Doing so many things over the past few days. We have made some changes here in the studio. Things look the same to you, but from where I'm sitting, things are very different. We have lots of new things to get used to. First of all, I installed my new computer last week, so now we have a new computer operating all of this. So everything you see now is coming through the new computer, and once again, thank you very much to all those who helped to support me so I could pay for this very expensive piece of equipment. Would you like to know how much I spent? Shall I write it down for you right now? So here we go. This is how much I spent on the new computer and the new setup here. So you're not going to believe this. I won't say it, but I will show you. I will show you how much it cost. I won't say it. I will just show you. Here it is. So this is how much my new studio, all of the equipment that allows me to stream live, this is how much it costs. Now I'm only going to show you this once, so you have to look very carefully. Here it comes now. Yes, really, I'm not joking. That's how much it costs. So thank you very much for all those who helped, and I hope you can see me clearly. In fact, you should see me very clearly now because we have installed some new equipment. It will allow the cameras to look a little bit better. So I hope you can see me in lovely, clear, high definition. Oh, do I look nice and clear today? I really hope so. So yes, my new computer did cost an arm and a leg. Very expensive. But as you know, if you want to stay ahead in the game, you have to sometimes invest some money. Yes. So that's a lot of money. Thank you very much to you out there who helped, and also to Mr. Steve. And of course, I suppose we should say thank you to me as well. So we all put something towards the new computer, and as you can see, it is working okay. Although, having said that, I have had some problems today already. quite a few problems, and there are so many things to get used to. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of change. I don't like it when things change. I like things to stay the way they always are. So I don't like things to change. So over the past few days, I've had to learn how to use a new operating system, Windows 10 Professional. Also, I've had to learn how to use a new software for video editing, which didn't go very well because the software kept crashing. So that wasn't very good. So it's been very, very stressful. So some of the things today are here, and some of the things I had planned for today aren't due to one or two slight problems. We call these problems teething problems. Teething. So it's a bit like when your teeth come through. So teething problems just means that you have problems that are connected to something you've just started doing. So maybe you are trying to get something right. So we call it teething problems, teething difficulties. So that's it. Right, okay, so it's business as usual, which of course means live English. I'm here and I hope you are there as well. I'm going to try and set one or two things up for later, including the live chat, but I haven't done that yet. So I have to do that in a moment so I can put it on the screen. Also, don't forget, Mr. Steve is here later on today. Mr. Steve is back. Yes, of course. Many people missed him last week. In fact, I had more people asking where Mr. Steve was than where I was. To be honest, I was a little bit upset, to be honest. It seems that Mr. Steve has more fans than me. So Mr. Steve will be here later on, but of course a big question must be, what was the view this morning like? So let's have a look, shall we? There it is, the view from the window this morning. A beautiful, bright, cold day. It is absolutely freezing cold at the moment. It really is so cold. Can I just tell you, it's so cold we've had to put the heating on all the time because it's so cold, and apparently next week it's going to get even colder, and in some parts of the UK they are going to have snow, although it would appear that here we won't be getting any snow at all. So very cold, very, very icy outside. There is a strong, cold, easterly wind, which apparently is coming all the way from Siberia. So can I say a big hello to all those watching at the moment in Siberia? We're having your weather at the moment. So just in case there are any Siberians watching at the moment in Siberia, I hope you are staying warm. And can I say thank you very much for sending me some of your lovely weather. Apparently it's going to get very cold next week. A lot of things going on here, by the way. Last week I had one of my lovely friends. He came to do some tree cutting. Would you like to see some of the trees in my garden being cut back? Okay. Yes, I have noticed over the past few months that the trees in my garden have become very, very, very messy. So one of my friends came and he cut some of the trees back. There he is, look, up a ladder. I don't know how he does it, but this man is so brave. He climbs ladders, he climbs the tallest trees in the world. He is quite an amazing guy, and he's much braver than I am. So we had lots of trees cut back because they were all becoming very overgrown. So there you can see the damson tree. So we cut the damson tree back because it was going a little wild. So the damson tree is now a lot smaller. There it is, you see. So there's the damson tree. Hopefully later this year we'll get some lovely damsons. And there you can see the old apple tree. Oh my goodness. Now between you and me, the apple tree does not look very healthy. And there is a good reason for that. It's because it isn't very healthy. My poor apple tree is dying. And there you can see all of the things that my friend cut from the trees. We call these cuttings. Cuttings. So there you can see lots of the twigs, lots of the branches, lots of the parts from the trees that have been removed. Because last week I had all of the trees in the garden trimmed. They were all cut back. And of course this time of year is a very good time for doing it. It's always best to do this before the spring arrives. And there you can see the vehicle and also the equipment that my friend used. He used something called a chipper, which chops all of the wood up into tiny pieces. It's an amazing bit of kit. So there it is. The latest news from my garden. As all of the trees were trimmed, and between you and me it does look a lot better now. It certainly does. So we're live on YouTube. Oh my goodness. Mr. Steve will be here later on. Yes, of course. Mr. Steve will be here at 3 o'clock. We are live on a Sunday afternoon. It's now, what time is it? It's just coming up to 20 minutes past 2 o'clock. I was slightly late today because I had some slight, ever so slight problems to sort out. Lots of changes, lots of things that I've had to learn over the past few days. A new operating system, a new computer, new software, lots of new pieces of equipment. So many things to do today, and we are talking about quite a few things today. Here's a good question. Do you vape or do you smoke? Now it would appear that there are people who still smoke cigarettes. But of course, the latest craze that everyone, well, almost everyone, it seems like everyone, they are doing something called vaping. So that seems to be the latest trend with people who smoke. So some people still smoke cigarettes, and some people like to use those machines, and then they blow their smoke everywhere. So are you a vapor? Do you enjoy vaping? Or maybe you are not a fan of vaping. Maybe you have to sit next to someone on the bus, or maybe in the cinema, and they're vaping next to you. So smoking is bad for you. I don't smoke, by the way. Can I just say that I'm not encouraging people to actually smoke or vape? But I don't do it, so I never have. I've never smoked ever in my life. Ever. Would you like to see some fun and games in the kitchen? Would you like to join me in the kitchen? We're going to cook something. Can you guess what we are going to cook? It's something very special and very, nutritious. Doopy 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 boo. Oh, hello there. Welcome to my lovely little kitchen. I hope you are enjoying today's live English stream. Of course, we are back together today because I wasn't here last week. I do apologise once again for not being here last week, but I had a lot of things to do. Like now, for instance, I have a lot of things to do. Right now, I am making some eggs for Mr. Steve's lunch, and also I'm going to have some as well. Of course, you can't have eggs without toast. As you can see, earlier on I put some bread in the toaster and then eventually becomes toast, of course. So I have the toast ready. All I have to do now is to make the eggs. Now, of course, there are many ways of making eggs. You can boil them, you can fry them, you can scramble the eggs if you wish. But today we are going to poach the eggs. And that means that we are going to make the eggs become very hot over boiling water. So we don't put the eggs actually in the water, we cook them over the water. And of course the water has to be very, very hot, which it is now. So the water behind me is now boiling on the stove, and we will make some poached eggs. Of course, eggs are super duper food. Look at that, a lovely box of eggs. There are 6 eggs, which of course is half a dozen. As I said earlier, when you poach eggs, it means you cook them over boiling water. You don't put them in the water. So first of all, we have to break some eggs. There is a great expression in English which goes, you can't make an omelette without breaking some eggs. Of course, eggs are very good for you. They have lots of protein and also lots of good cholesterol as well. Many years ago, people thought that eggs were bad for you. But now, a lot of people believe that eggs are actually quite good for you. In fact, they recommend that you eat at least 1 egg every day. I'm not sure how true that is, but I love eggs, and so does Mr. Steve. So, without any further messing around, let's get on with today's meal. We are making some poached eggs. We need to make sure that the eggs don't stick to these small cups. Can you see? So we are going to break the egg, each egg, and put it in one of these small non-stick cups. But I'm going to put a little bit of oil in there as well, just to make sure that the egg doesn't stick. So just a little bit of oil, not too much. Oh. Oh. Now Mr. Steve only wants 1 egg, and I'm only having 1 egg as well. So the really difficult part is going to be breaking the egg. Now, of course, there are many ways to break an egg. I prefer the old-fashioned way, which is to just use a knife and break the shell at the edge. So, let's do that, shall we? Let's break some eggs. I also have to make sure that I take some of the oil out of the cups. So I'm going to take some of the oil out because there might be too much in there. So there we go. Oh yes, that's looking very nice. Very oily. And the other one. So we have some nice oil in there to make sure that the eggs don't stick. Okay, here comes the really difficult part now. We are going to break some eggs. So first of all, I will break the first egg. Hop, 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 hop. And then I will put it into the small non-stick cup. Yeah! That's the first one broken. And now I will break the second egg. Yeah, that is done. So both of the eggs are now broken and they are in the non-stick cup. So there they are, can you see? And they are now waiting to be poached. So here we go. One, two. And that's it. That's all we have to do. We now have to wait for around 4 minutes for the eggs to go solid, and then I will serve them on a plate with some toast for Mr. Steve. Of course, some people don't like eating eggs. They don't like eating anything connected with animals, and we call these people vegans. So vegans don't touch anything that has come from an animal, and that includes eggs. Talking of eggs, because we are talking about them right now, many years ago here in the UK there was a big health scare with eggs when a member of Parliament mentioned that many eggs are contaminated with salmonella, and this caused a huge problem. This was way back in the late 1980s, and since then many people don't trust eggs. Of course, the whole scandal went away and many people started to eat eggs again, but there is still some people who don't think that eggs are safe. Of course, I am not one of those people because I love eggs very much. So now the eggs are poaching over there. You can see them. The water is boiling and the eggs are starting to go hard. So we will give them about another 2 minutes and then they will be ready. The next thing I have to do is prepare the toast. So there we go, we have some buttered toast. Look at that, isn't that lovely? So we are going to have some poached eggs on toast. I don't know about you, but I really love toast very much. I like toast with butter. I like toast with butter and marmalade or butter and jam. Another thing I really like is cheese on toast. Wow. You get the toast and then you put some cheese on top and then you melt the cheese. Oh my goodness. So as soon as the eggs start bubbling, you will know that they are almost ready to take out. So here comes the moment of truth. It's time to take the lid off the poached eggs. Whoa. Wow, that is very hot. So let's take the eggs out. Let's see what we have. Oh yes, I think these look quite nice. And another one. So there you go. Can you see the egg? The egg has now gone solid, and hopefully I will be able to tip the egg out and it won't break. I hope so. Now, to help things along, I'm going to use one of these lovely big straining spoons. So I will put the egg onto the spoon and then put it onto the plate. So hopefully this will work. If it doesn't, I'm going to be very, very embarrassed. So here we go, egg number one. Let's see what happens. Will it come out? Please come out. I hope you do. Please. Or else I'm going to be very embarrassed. Oh, come on. Yeah! Egg number one. There it is. Look, perfect. Absolutely perfect. So that one is for Mr. Steve. And now here is my egg. Will it come out in one piece? Yeah, there it is. Look, isn't that great? Wow. We have success. So there you have it. Today's light lunch is poached egg on toast. And of course, I always like to have a little bit of mayonnaise with my poached egg. And of course, some pepper as well. So there it is. I bet you are feeling very hungry now, aren't you? I think so. So I will go and have my poached egg, and I will call Mr. Steve to come down to eat his as well. And now I will return you back to the studio. As promised, we have the live chat at the moment, and there it is, just to show that we are now live across the world. Flavia is here. Oh, I love toast with British tea. Oh yes, poached egg on toast with a cup of tea. There's nothing like it. Hello Mr. Duncan, I just joined you. Please, where is Mr. Steve? Mr. Steve will be here at 3 o'clock. Don't forget, every Sunday Mr. Steve joins me at 3 o'clock, unless of course it's Christmas. Thank you Mohammed for that. Eradas, oh, that looks almost like French cuisine. Oh yes, it is very French. I think so, yes. Things on toast always reminds me of French cuisine. I don't know why. I suppose because in the morning you can have toast for breakfast, or even French toast. Analytic Brain is here. Hello Mr. Duncan, congratulations on your new PC. Yes, everything is working, almost. I've had one or two problems during the week, one or two teething problems. Kimmy Kim is here. Hello Kimmy Kim, nice to see you here today. How am I? I'm super duper, thank you. Did you miss me last Sunday? I know I wasn't here last week, but I had a good reason for not being here. I was watching Mr. Steve in a show, and he will be talking all about that later on today. So find out what Mr. Steve was getting up to last week. Jung Kim, it's such a nice plate I've ever seen. Oh, I don't know which plate you mean. Do you mean the plate that I put my poached egg on toast on? I think so. I'm waiting for Mr. Steve. A lot of people like Mr. Steve, I've noticed. Jalina is here. Hello everybody, so nice being here with you. Yes, it's like a big family here. Welcome to the English family. And we all live in the same place, and that is planet Earth. Hello Mr. Duncan. Greetings from Buenos Aires. Thank you Belarusia for that. Also Victor says, oh, the better quality of your stream is clear to see. I appreciate your efforts. Thanks a lot for that. I do appreciate you saying that it looks better. Thank you very much. My husband and I are watching you for the first time. We love you. Thank you, Sylvia Canieles. Thank you very much for tuning in today. I think Miss Sunshine would like to try some of my poached eggs on toast. I think so. What are you eating this evening, Mr. Duncan? Asks Swan. Can you guess what I'm eating tonight? It's the thing I always eat every Sunday evening. Can you guess what it is? Good morning, Mr. Duncan, from Stefano and also Shirley, Germany. Hello, Shirley. Eating eggs every day protects your eyes against retinal aging. I eat 2 eggs every day. Yes, eggs are very good for you. They are. In fact, some people recommend that you should eat at least 1 egg every day. And as I mentioned in the video, many years ago, there was a big health scare here in the UK after one lady called Edwina Curry made a comment about eggs being very unhealthy. So lots of people stopped eating eggs because of her. But now, of course, many people prefer eating eggs, as do I. They are rather nice, although some people don't like to do that. So lots of people on the live chat. And of course, if you were watching last week, did you see me on Wednesday night? I was doing my late and live stream. And you remember the photograph. Now I will show this later. I almost gave it away then. Did you see that? I moved it, and I think maybe for a moment you saw it. Did you see it then? There it is again. So this is one of the presents that Mr. Steve received last week on his birthday. And I was showing you the frame, but I didn't show you the photograph. So today we are going to reveal the photograph. And this particular birthday present was sent by Mr. Steve's sister. So it is a photograph, and I will show you the photograph later on, but not yet. We will save that for later. Here's an interesting thing, because we do talk about grammar, we talk about pronunciation, we talk about spelling, we talk about all sorts of things here. And here is something that is interesting. We are going to look at the use of sick in text. Can you see it there? The use of sick in text. You might see this word added to a quote. It is often contained within brackets. The word sick shows that a grammatical or spelling error is being used as it was originally spoken or written by the person being quoted. One is quoting the person as he or she spoke or wrote at the time. For example, I'm tired of their constant complaining. But of course you can see that they have used the wrong form of their. They haven't used the possessive form. So to show that you are quoting that person with their mistake, you put sick next to it. So you will often see this in writing when you are reporting someone else's speech. You will see sick next to mistakes or something that the person has said themselves. So it is a way of saying, it wasn't me that made that mistake, it was the person whom I'm quoting. So the person who I'm quoting made the mistake. The word sick comes from Latin and literally means thus. So there it is. The next time you see sick in a sentence next to a quote, you will know why it is there. It is there to show that you are expressing the mistake that the person made, and you are saying that it wasn't me, I didn't make that mistake, I am quoting another person. So there it is. I hope that is useful. Yes, we are live today. Oh my goodness. And one of the questions today is vape or smoke? Vape or smoke? Are you a vapor or are you a smoker? Or maybe you are a non-smoker. But I don't know about you, but I find people who vape quite... What's the word I'm looking for? Annoying, that's it. They can be quite annoying, very arrogant. Have you noticed that? They seem to make a very big point of blowing their smoke everywhere. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. There is something very arrogant about people who vape. They do it in a very arrogant way. I don't know why. Let's have a look at the live chat. Oh, there's a lot of people on the live chat today. Thank you very much. So many people. Yes. Hello, Mr. Duncan. Kebsam is here in Brazil. Thank you very much. Mr. Duncan is such a foodie. Thank you, Jamelia. If a person is a foodie, it means that they are very interested in food and they are very keen on eating food. And I think that would be a very fair thing to say about me. Yes, I do like eating food, I must admit. I like food very much. Belarusia says, yes, very interesting. The word that you just showed us, very interesting. Thank you very much. Hello, Mr. Duncan. Can people vape in a cinema? Now, as I understand it, now I might be wrong here because I haven't been to a cinema for a very long time, but I was under the impression that the smoking rules are different for people who vape. So if you light a cigarette, you can't do it in a public place. You can't do it in a bar or a club or a cinema. But I might be wrong here. I'm willing to be wrong. But as I understand it, you can vape in public places. Although I have a strange feeling that the law may have been altered recently. So what are the rules on vaping in your country? Are you allowed to vape anywhere? Now, many years ago, I remember when the vaping machines first came out. They were called electronic cigarettes, but now they're called vapors or vaping. We call the action is vaping. You vape. It's become a very big cultural thing now. So what do you think? Are you annoyed when people blow their vaping smoke in your face? Do you like it or not? The Chinese New Year came around a few days ago. And of course, we will be talking about that. And Mr. Steve will be here in 15 minutes with some very interesting phrases and idioms to do with dogs. It's true, I'm not joking. Yes, we will be talking all about dogs a little bit later on. Because of course it is the Chinese New Year, and in their zodiac, this year is the year of the dog. The dog. And of course, if you are a regular viewer, you will know that I'm not a big fan of dogs. I don't really like dogs very much, especially when I meet a dog that I don't know, because you never know what they're going to do. They might bark at you, they might bite you, they might try to do things to your leg. Has that ever happened to you? Has a dog ever tried to make love to your leg? It's very embarrassing. And the other thing I don't like about dogs is they always sniff around your private area. What's that all about? They always stick their nose right in there. I have a neighbour and she has a dog, and it always does that. Whenever I go round to her house, the first thing her dog does is come over to me and stick its nose right between my legs. And to be honest with you, I think that's a little bit too familiar. Too familiar, I think so. Imagine if a human being did that. Yeah, you see, completely different story then. Yes. Sylvia is here. Oh, Sylvia. I have been vaping for 4 years. Let's have a look. I hope it's still there on the live chat. Yes, Sylvia says, I have been vaping for 4 years. I think it is better to vape. Although a lot of people now believe that vaping is also bad for you. So there are doctors doing research at the moment, and they seem to believe that vaping is actually bad for you. So there are some people that believe that. So yes, it's a difficult one. It's a very difficult one. Sukat says, oh, Mr. Duncan, no, dogs are very nice. We have 8. You have 8 dogs and 8 cats. How do you do that? How do you take care of 8 dogs and 8 cats? That's a lot of animals in your house. I mean, I have difficulty just looking after Mr. Steve. I mean, Mr. Steve is the equivalent of 8 dogs. Trust me. I'm always clearing up after Mr. Steve. He makes such a mess. And I've almost got him house trained. Almost. Not quite, but almost. Yes, apparently in Spain the laws on vaping are not very clear. So according to Sylvia, in Spain the law for vaping is not clear. It is similar to smoking. Oh, that's interesting. Okay then. Han Tran is here as well. Hello Han Tran, thanks for joining me. Where are you watching at the moment? The poor dog can't help it. It all comes down to the owner when it comes to the dog's behaviour. Thank you, Tomek, for that. Yes, I think so. I think you might be right there. Yes, of course. I suppose that the dog is only as well behaved as the owner. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. I'm just trying to drink some coffee here because Mr. Steve made a cup of coffee for me and it's starting to go cold. Delicious. Yes, vaping is a deep-rooted habit. I think so. Thank you, Mohammed, for that. Yes, it's a habit, and like most habits, it's very hard, very difficult to shake. Oh, we've had I see, we've had By Apollo. Hello, By Apollo. Thank you very much for your kind donation on the super chat. Thank you very much. I just noticed it on the screen. Thanks a lot. That's very kind of you. So a lot of people seem to enjoy having a dog. I don't own a dog, but many years ago my mother had a dog, and whilst living in China I actually did have a dog for a short time. I actually did own a dog until someone stole my little dog away. Yeah, so I actually had my dog stolen. So maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm a little afraid of dogs, is because maybe perhaps in the past I became emotionally attached to a dog. Perhaps. Maybe that could have something to do with it. Maybe. Don Gardino. Oh, I see. Apparently, Don Gardino pretends to smoke like a cool guy. I pretend that I smoke with a stick to look like a cool guy. I'm not sure whether I get it. Well, maybe, maybe not. Many years ago, during the 1950s and 1940s, smoking was seen as something very sophisticated. But nowadays, it is not. So I think a lot of people are anti-smokers. Although having said that, there are many people now who vape. They do seem to enjoy doing that. My horoscope in the Chinese calendar is the snake. Yes, you are right. Well done. Thank you very much for telling me. Yes, I did know that. I am the snake. I am a dragon. Oh, Nicole. Apparently Nicole is a dragon in the Chinese zodiac. Mr. Duncan, in which city do you live? Because my sister is studying in Birmingham. Oh, thank you, Hussein. Yes, I'm not too far away from Birmingham. Although having said that, it is still a long way off. But we do live roughly in the same region of England, yes. So I live in a place called Much Wenlock. Much Wenlock, a lovely small town. And of course now it's very famous because over the past few weeks Much Wenlock has been on television here in the UK on the BBC. So we've become even more famous. So not because of me doing my YouTube videos, but also because Much Wenlock has been featured on the BBC as well. Very exciting. We were all very excited to see the BBC filming in Much Wenlock. So what's coming later? We have Mr. Steve talking about dog idioms. Yes, dog idioms, and also of course we have other things as well. The Winter Olympics. The closing ceremony took place, and in fact it might be still taking place right now as I speak. So if you are watching in Korea, North Korea or South Korea, because of course the two Koreas came together for this year's Winter Olympic Games. Now the Winter Olympics is seen as not as exciting and not as important as the Summer Olympic Games. A lot of people seem to forget the Winter Olympics very quickly. So what about your country? Did your country do well? How did your country do in the Winter Olympics? And of course, very soon the Paralympics begin. So the Winter Paralympics begin, I believe, today. So as one closes, the other one begins. So how did your country do? Did your country win many medals? Many medals? It's not easy to say that. Did your country win many medals? Shirley is here. Thank you very much. Please come and give us English lessons here in Germany. Oh, thank you, Shirley. That's very kind of you. Wow. For those who are wondering where the mystery idioms are, there won't be any today because I had a slight problem with the computer. Now, it isn't the computer, it's actually the software. So I'm using some new software, but it seems as if it doesn't want to work very well. It's caused me a lot of headaches over the past few days, I can tell you right now. So Mr. Steve was in a show last week. He was in a show called The Mikado. So we will be finding out more about that later on. Yesterday we went for a walk. Would you like to see what happened yesterday when we went for a walk? Something very dramatic occurred. Steve? Mr. Steve? Goodness, I just can't believe it. It's so high. It's so much. Oh my goodness, I really can't believe it. I can't believe how much all of this new equipment cost. Oh my god. Oh, well, I'm getting dizzy. I'm actually getting dizzy thinking about it. Oh my goodness. I hope you are enjoying the new crystal clear camera, and also I hope you are enjoying the lovely high quality today. I have been so busy over the past few days. There have been 1 or 2 tears, let's just say. A little bit of crying, a little bit of shouting, a little bit of just sitting there in stunned silence, wondering what on earth I'm doing. So many things going on. But of course we are now here. Thanks a lot for joining me. It's live English. We are now absolutely, completely, utterly live. So anything can happen. And anything quite often does happen. Mr. Steve will be here very soon. Let's have a quick look at the live chat, shall we? Swan says the animals are so cute. Yes, did you see those lovely bulls? They are called Highland bulls. Highland bulls, and they are normally found in Scotland. But there are some here in Much Wenlock as well. Mr. Duncan, I'm Zara from Iraq. Long time no see. Much love. Thank you very much, Zara, for that. It's so nice to see so many people here on the live chat today. It's a very busy one. I have a strange feeling that many people missed me last week. Did you miss me, or did you miss Mr. Steve? Yes, I have a feeling that you might have missed Mr. Steve more than me. We're coming up to 3 o'clock. Mr. Steve will be here in a few moments talking about his birthday last week. Also, we'll be talking about idioms and expressions connected to dogs. Also, and here's something I'm going to throw in just for fun. If you could have your own Olympic sport, so maybe an Olympic sport that doesn't exist at the moment, because there are some very strange Olympic sports. We'll be talking about those very soon as well. So some very strange Olympic sports, and some of them which are quite dangerous as well. We'll be talking about that later on. A very busy hour to come. And you know why that is. Yes, of course. The reason why we are so busy today is because Mr. Steve is now in the studio. Now, the wonderful thing now that we're doing here in the studio, because of this high-tech equipment, is that I can see Mr. Steve all the time, and Mr. Steve can see me all the time. So we've made some slight changes. It's all very technical. It's a bit like being in a proper TV studio now, so we can actually see each other all the time. So here he comes. Mr. Steve is here, and he is live as live can be. We have all missed you so much, Mr. Steve.
Hello! Hello, Mr. Duncan. Well, this is all very exciting because one thing I've been complaining about for many weeks is that I don't know what's going on because I can't see a monitor, which you have, of course, over on your side of the studio. But now, because of this wonderful new computer, not only can you see me in full high definition, but I have a monitor right in front of me here, and I can see myself, and I can see what you're doing. So hopefully this will make things a lot slicker, a lot more professional, as long as I know what I'm supposed to be looking at.
It's about time. It's about time that we became slick.
Yes. The only thing is, I had to put a bit of makeup on because now we're in high def. Everyone can see the flaws. And they'll probably think, oh, Mr. Steve, you only looked about 30. Now he looks 50.
Wait a minute. Where am I? Let's get me on as well. Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you are. Yes,
wow.
I can see you.
We are now together.
Oh, we shouldn't talk. We shouldn't highlight the technology. We should just get on with the show. But it is quite exciting.
It is very exciting. I don't really quite know what we're doing at the moment with the equipment, so I'm actually learning as we go along with this, but it does look better. There's no doubt about it. I think it's clear to say that everything looks better. It looks it looks very realistic.
I can hear a lot of whirring and fans working hard inside your new computer.
I can't begin to tell you how much technology we are using now, and this is how much it cost. I'm going to show you again how much all of this cost, just very quickly.
Are you?
That's it.
Was it that much?
That's it. Can you believe it?
Didn't I pay for at least half that?
You did. Well, I've already said that. I've already said you've obviously not been watching Mr. Steve. You should watch this show.
I have to relax before we go on and meditate and calm myself. Do you know what I do before coming on live with you, Mr. Duncan?
Here we go. Here come the insults.
Insults? There's no insults.
TS says, HD camera. I can now see Mr. Steve's acne.
What? How dare you? Oh, no, acne's good, because acne means I'm still young.
That's it.
You don't get acne when you're old. You only get it when you're young. So if you still get acne, it means my hormones are still high. I'm youthful, full of vigour.
You know what? I don't equate any of those words to you.
Well, I'm just acting.
I think it's just the camera.
It's the camera, the excitement of being live across the world.
Hey,
with you, Mr. Duncan. It's very exciting.
Okay, then, Steve, calm down. I tell you something. Your conversation with me a few days ago about meditation has captured the imaginations of so many people.
Has it?
Yes.
Well, I'm delighted to know that, because we like to talk about subjects that are different, interesting, that maybe make people think slightly differently about what they're doing or what they're not doing. That's what this show's all about. A bit of excitement, a bit of fun.
Yeah. Talking
about we don't want to be boring. We want to talk about something that may interest a broad base of people. So meditation might not have interested everybody, but it might have interested 10% or 20%. And then we'll talk about things today which interest another group of people. And then next week we'll talk a week afterward, etc., etc.
I'm loving some of the comments here. Let's just put some of the comments on the screen. So, yes, very observant, one or two people. I hope this works, because last week it didn't.
Oh, I can see the comments now. That's another new thing.
Yes, so they're saying, we noticed Mr. Steve arrived, and yes, he began to scream into the microphone.
Oh, right.
Thank you, Tomek.
This is my normal voice. I don't know what you mean.
Thank you, Tomek, for that. So today we've got some...
That's because Mr. Duncan had turned the microphone up too high.
It's nothing to do with me. It's because you've got a big mouth. Tom Eck, thank you very much. Today we've got a bit of Shakespeare.
Hello.
A little bit of Shakespeare coming.
People are saying hello, so I'm saying hello back. Yes, I've got a bit of Shakespeare.
I like the way Steve's still waving, even though he's not actually on camera.
Aren't I?
You're still... No, I've explained this already, Steve.
Okay.
The thing that you can see yourself on is just a preview. The thing on the left is what's going out.
Oh, Nicole says I look great. Thank you, Nicole.
Oh, God. He can see the comments now. Oh, we're in trouble now. I used to be able to censor them so Mr. Steve couldn't see them. Also, our viewership has dropped by about 15 people since you came on.
Oh, great. They were going anyway.
Not really. They were going anyway because it's in some countries it's very late. Welcome again from Austria. Thank you, May, for that. Mr. Steve, you look great, according to Nicole.
I just said that.
Oh, very nice. So, Mr. Steve, last week you were very busy, weren't you?
Yes, all sorts of things going on last week. I was having to cope with you putting your studio back together.
Oh my goodness!
That was quite exciting, but also quite stressful.
It was very stressful. How many times did I burst into tears last week? I've lost count of how many times I was lying on the floor, I was crying, I was screaming, I was wailing, I was saying, no more of this, I can't take any more.
You've got through a lot of boxes of tissues, I can tell you.
Yes, I've got some. I'm still using them now, just in case I burst into tears today. It's been a very stressful few days, but we made it. We made it onto the air.
We did. Yes, so exciting from that point of view. I had a birthday.
Yes, you did.
I was in a show as well. Well, it was sort of a concert version of a show. So yes, it was quite a busy week.
So you were appearing last week in a stage show. And oh look, there's a little bit of video here showing the stage on which you appeared. So what was the show?
The show was called The Mikado, which is Gilbert and Sullivan, written around 1880, somewhere like that. And it's a comic opera based around or themed on Japan. Because in those days, back in 1870, people didn't know very much about Japan. It was all very exciting and all very new to British people. So Gilbert and Sullivan were a very popular two people who were writing songs and writing operettas. And they used to theme their operettas around things which are very popular at the day, and this particular one was a Japanese, interested in all things Japanese.
Okay then, so here's the audience. I love the way that lady steps back because she thinks she's in the way, but there it is. Now one thing I've noticed is a lot of the audience are quite, what's the word I'm looking for? There is a word, isn't there? I'm looking for
elderly, I think is the word you're looking for.
Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yes, Gilbert and Sullivan, because it's quite old. It used to be extremely popular up until probably around 1970, somewhere around then. And then its interest has been waning, has been dropping off as people become more interested in more sort of X Factor type programs, shall we say. Young people don't like to get involved in Gilbert and Sullivan anymore. It's very popular in America still, but probably a lot of your viewers won't probably know much about it. But we're not going to go into huge details. But yes, my voice is still hoarse.
Yes, that's quite a step, though, isn't it, from Gilbert and Sullivan to X Factor?
I know. Well, we're struggling, you see, to have new members join who are young. We've got the same. We've had the same people who are performing for many, many years, and we can't get any new people to join the company.
Oh, I see.
Because they're not interested in singing these old-fashioned songs. They want to sort of do sort of R&B music and rap and
R&B
they want all the
and rap.
glitz and the lights and the X Factor type experience. They don't want to just stand on a stage and sing to a piano.
What exactly is the X Factor experience? Because I don't really know what that means.
Well, it means that you go on stage and everyone's screaming at you.
Oh, you mean hyped up rubbish?
Hyped up, yes.
Hyped up rubbish. Oh, I see.
They'll be lucky to get a clap from our audience. I tell you, you've worked your socks off to perform a song, and you might get a little ripple of applause.
Can we just have another look at where you were performing? This is just brilliant. Let's have another look at this. So this is the stage on which you performed.
That's a Japanese fan.
Yes, I think we've all worked that one out for ourselves. So we're panning across now. Look, we're going across the stage. So this wasn't a full show. So you weren't in costumes. You were just performing the songs.
Yes, because we only had 6 weeks. It was just a fundraising concert, but we sung all the music from Mikado, and we did a little bit of the dialogue.
Okay.
And we only had a keyboard. We didn't have an orchestra, and we had a pianist who was very, very good. Because it's quite difficult to play Gilbert and Sullivan music.
Look at that stage. That's amazing. So there you were, all sitting there. You're not there at the moment. And look at the audience. Let's have a look here. Let's have a look at the demographics. I'm going to say that most of the people there are about 80.
I would say the average age. I think I was the youngest one there, but I was. Oh no!
I love the way that lady moves out the way. That's just brilliant. She thinks, "Oh, I better not go past because he's filming." But I can see her anyway.
It has been filmed, so I will ask permission if you can show some of the footage, because that would be interesting. Maybe in another week, we can actually show a bit of footage from the show.
I'm not even sure if we can because of copyright. You see.
Well, I'm going to ask the person that filmed it.
It's copyright. I hate copyright so much. Even now. Can I just say, this is very boring, I know, but I have to buy all of my music. I have to pay for the license to use the music in my videos and on my live streams. This is the thing. There are a lot of hidden costs with doing this. You have to pay people for licenses when you use photographs or video or music. But sometimes I get punished by YouTube for copyright violation when I haven't even violated the copyright. I've actually legally used the music. So I have lots of things that have to be done when YouTube starts telling me that I'm doing things wrong. They say you are infringing on people's copyright. You must stop it, cut it out. So yes, there's a lot of this going on. So there it was, the Mikado. And so are you doing another show?
Yes, we're reviving a show which nobody's ever heard of, that used to be performed probably over 100 years ago.
Is that going on the poster?
I can't even remember what it's called, because we haven't been
on the poster. Coming soon, a show that nobody's ever heard of.
I think it's based on a sort of comic opera, and I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head.
And this is the show that you're in?
Well, we haven't started rehearsing yet, so all will be revealed.
So Steve's in a show, but he doesn't know what it's called yet.
No.
It's to be named. And apparently it's a show that no one's ever heard of. I tell you something, you are selling this. You are really selling this to me, Steve.
Well, we don't know anything about it. None of us do. We've just been told this is the next show.
We've noticed that.
And I can't remember what's it called now. It's something about an island and some pirates, but I can't remember what it's called now.
It sounds like GNS to me.
Well, it is based on Gilbert and Sullivan. But anyway, I think we're boring people at the moment.
You can always tell that you're listening to a GNS or Gilbert and Sullivan show, because there is normally a duke or a duchess. There's normally someone who is an orphan, or someone who's madly in love with someone they can't actually get. Or, of course, there is normally an underage girl that half of the men in the show fancy. I mean, I'm not joking. I mean, some of the dialogue in Gilbert and Sullivan sometimes is a little bit risque, I think.
Well, of course, originally, the people in the company would all have been a lot younger. Whereas, we've got men in their 70s and 80s singing. Because we can't get any young people to join.
I think in some cases, the people on the stage are older than the people in the audience.
Well, some of them couldn't stand up. But there you go. That's where we're at. Maybe I ought to start doing something a bit more modern. Come bang up to date with something like South Pacific.
That
or
old
the King
joke.
and I.
That old joke. Yes.
That old joke.
That
yes.
old joke. So today we're talking about a lot of things.
Birthday. It was my birthday. Do you want me to show my birthday cards?
I was just about to say that.
Oh, good.
It was Mr. Steve's birthday last week. Now, I have something to show, first of all, connected to your birthday. And you received a very nice gift from your sister. And here it is. It's a picture frame. Now, last week I was talking about this present, and I didn't show it to the audience. But I showed the back of the picture frame, but I didn't show the front. So today we are going to reveal the front. Now, some people thought that maybe it was Mr. Steve as a baby, but of course we can't show things like that because it's very obscene. It might upset people, because as I said the other night, Mr. Steve was such an ugly baby. His mother kept putting the pacifier in the wrong end. That's how ugly Mr. Steve was. His mother kept putting the pacifier somewhere else instead of his mouth.
You're saying I've got a face like an arse, Mr. Duncan?
Maybe a little bit. So here it is. Here's the picture of Mr. Steve. Mr. Steve will see it as well, although I know you've seen it anyway. So here it is.
Obviously, it was my birthday present.
Here it is. This is the picture we were talking about, and we will reveal it now. Oh, look at that. It's so funny. Oh, it's a shame you can't actually see it. There it is. Can you see it? Can you see it, Steve?
I can see it, yes.
What does it look like?
Horrible.
Yes. Well, you look okay, but I don't know what's going on with my face. I look a bit strange. That is one of my habits, by the way. Whenever someone takes a photograph of me, I always pull a very strange face. So you can see there I'm pulling a very strange face. So there it is, you see. Can you see the face that I'm pulling there? It looks very odd. Look, we've got that high definition camera and I can't even get this into focus.
Just as well, probably.
That's nice. So there it is. There is the photograph I was talking about, and your sister sent that. I think that's lovely. Isn't that lovely?
Yes, we'd gone to a wedding, and somebody took a picture. Well, it must have been my sister. Took a picture of us.
It was.
And 5 years later, we've got it framed.
It's not. Yes, it's quite a fun picture. But as I said, whenever someone takes a photograph of me, I always go. I never pose naturally. Steve does. Steve looks great on a photograph. He always looks very relaxed. Can you see there? So Steve looks quite jolly.
I think relaxed. I'm a bit drunk, actually. I think I had one or two to drink.
Really?
I seem to remember having a few to drink at that wedding.
I'm now wishing that I had a better copy of this. I should have actually scanned this. But there you go. Look at that. Isn't that great? So there we were at a wedding. And of course we are going to a wedding this year, aren't we?
Yes. Oh yes, a friend of mine's getting married.
Yes.
And we're going to the wedding.
It's been a long time since I've been to a wedding.
Yes, I don't really like weddings because I'm in a choir. Quite often we sing at weddings, and I sort of sit there while they're going through all the various ceremonial procedures. I don't mind going just to have a sing. We sing about 3 or 4 songs during the registry when people are signing the registers and things like that. So that's what I'll be doing at this friend's wedding in May.
Someone's asking how long. When did we first bump into each other? Yes, it was. I think it was about. Are we talking 29 years ago, nearly?
It must be. It must be 29 years.
Have we really known each other for 29 years? I can't believe it.
Unfortunately, we have.
That's terrible. No, I really do feel very, very old. So today we are talking about your birthday. Did you have some nice cards?
I did. I'll quickly show those for you, shall I?
Very quickly.
Right, I didn't have that many, I've got to say. But anyway, here's... it just shows you what people are thinking of when they're sending you birthday presents. So people know I like cars. So here's the first one. Oh, it's all in reverse. There we go. Right, there we go. So there's a popular birthday card theme that people get for me because they know I like cars. So there is something which looks like maybe a Ferrari. I'm not sure. Could well be a Ferrari. Who's this from?
This looks like a card, by the way, that you'd buy for a 13-year-old boy.
Well, I don't know. Yes, could be. It's quite nice, so I won't say who it's from. Here's an interesting one. It looks like they've given up a bit here. Not sure. They're not really theming that one at all, but it is quite attractive.
Can I just say that goes so well with your background?
I was wondering that. Shall I position it a little more artistically?
That's it, yes.
There we go.
You're in control.
So that's a nice card. I haven't, from this particular person, they normally send a themed card, but this one is just looks nice.
So who sent you that card?
It's from my mother.
Oh, your mother.
I won't say what dropped out of it when I opened it.
Was it money?
A little bit of money dropped out. Yes, I was very lucky there. And here is another one from a friend of mine. I'll get that a bit closer to the camera.
Yes, I showed this the other night. Yes, it's okay. We can see it. We're in high definition now, baby.
But it's small writing.
That's it. It's very small.
So happiness is realising it's the weekend.
Yes, I showed this actually last Wednesday night during my live and late.
Interestingly enough, this friend of mine, we used to work together for many years. And she said, happy... I won't say what the birthday is. Surely not long until retirement now.
Oh dear.
She says. This card made me laugh, as I doubt there is much difference Monday to Friday versus Saturday to Sunday.
Oh, I see.
So she's saying that I don't work very hard during the week.
Well, she might have a point.
I think she has. And here's the last card I'm going to show you. There we go. Have you shown this one?
Is this a card that you'd send to a 70-year-old man? Is this what you're doing now, Steve? Are you planning your retirement? Are you going to spend all of your days in the shed?
I'm going to be generous here and say that this person knows that I like gardening, and therefore that's the reason they got this card.
Oh, okay then. Well,
So,
you do like gardening. That's true. I'm just being.
I do.
I'm just being a bit sarcastic.
I know what you mean. It is sort of saying, yes, your life's over now. It's just the garden shed, a pair of boots, and I'm going to sit there with a cup of tea in between mowing the grass and trimming a few hedges.
Steve, when do you plan to retire?
When I've got enough money. Which, after helping you with your computer, has set me back about 2 years.
Look, this is how much all of this new equipment in my studio, this is how much it costs.
Yes, you keep saying this.
Look, I was only going to mention it once.
You weren't going to mention it at all.
Look. Stop.
Shall I show you what Mr. Duncan bought me for my birthday?
Yeah,
Do you want to do that now?
I did buy Mr. Steve a present.
He did. Because he hadn't got much money left from having to buy all this new equipment.
I might have to sell my body, on the streets. I think so. I think it's got so bad.
Those days are long gone where you could do that, Mr. Duncan.
Thank you for your vote of confidence, Steve.
Mind you, it's worth a go. Might bring some money into the house. Right, so Mr. Duncan bought me a film. And here is this film because he knows I like science fiction. And there it is, Blade Runner.
Oh.
Can you see that in your reflections? Blade Runner.
That's actually Blade Runner 2049, the sequel.
That's the new one.
The sequel to the 1982 Blade Runner.
Which is my favourite all-time film. And this one was good. It was good. I didn't like it as much as the original, but it was very good. If they'd cut 20 minutes out of the first half, I was just waiting for Harrison Ford. Where is Harrison Ford? When's he coming on?
Yes, yeah. Well, that's the problem. The problem is a lot of people said that the new Blade Runner film was very long and it was rather boring. Now, I loved it. I loved every moment of it because I was very nervous about the sequel to Blade Runner, because between you and me, I think Blade Runner is one of the best movies ever made. It's not everyone's cup of tea, because people nowadays want to see fighting and robots and crazy stuff going on the screen all the time. But yes, I love Blade Runner, and I like Harrison Ford as well. I'm a big fan of him, even though he's made some not very good films. Let's just say he's made some very awful films.
He was back on form in this one, though.
Yes, I thought he was good. It was a very good film, very well paced. I thought it really did feel like I was watching a Blade Runner film. It felt like the universe of Blade Runner was being used in the right way. It felt very, very good, and the cinematography was incredible. I loved the visuals and also the sound as well. Absolutely brilliant film. So you enjoyed it as well, Steve?
I did, but because they obviously didn't want the same. The highlight for me with the first film was the music, and the music was all right in this, but it didn't touch you emotionally in the same way as the first film did.
Yeah, I think they were just trying not to sound like. Oh.
Well, they should have tried to sound like the original film. I think, but anyway, let's not keep talking about that. We're not reviewing films here.
No,
we're talking about English.
We can talk about anything.
And I've got a lot of things that I've prepared today.
It's not the law, you know,
Mr. Duncan.
It's not the law. You can talk about anything you want.
Oh, the live chat's on again. I love Harrison Ford, says Tias.
Yes, you can see the live
Air Force One. Yes,
there it is. Look at that.
Air
Force One is a very good movie.
Yes, the music of the original Blade Runner was best. I've got the soundtrack to that. And if they I think they should have just used that music in the second film, and it would have been great.
Oh, I see.
But obviously, who wrote the music to Blade Runner, Mr. Duncan?
The original one was by Vangelis.
Vangelis. Maybe he didn't want to write the music to the new one.
Yes. I think they were just very aware that they didn't want it to be like a copy of the first Blade Runner film. I think that's the reason why. Anyway.
Alex said there, have we seen the new Star Wars film? Now, that's interesting. We were going to see the new Star Wars film on my birthday, but I didn't know Mr. Duncan had bought me this. So I didn't want to go and see Star Wars and then watch this. I really wanted to watch this. Yes. So we abandoned Star Wars and watched this instead.
Yes.
But
there is more to this story, because I had actually, and this is the bit that's going to embarrass Steve so much, I had actually bought or booked some tickets to go and see Star Wars on Steve's birthday. But then Steve turns around to me and says, I don't really want to go and see Star Wars because we're going to watch Blade Runner later. So I had to cancel the tickets and get the refund and lots of things. But Steve didn't know. And then later I told you, and you were very upset, weren't you? You were quite angry.
Well, because I didn't know you'd gone to that much effort.
Yes.
So I would have said, all right, then let's go,
but the
and
thing
we'll
is,
watch the film another time.
It's your day, Mr. Steve. It's your day. You see, so you do what you want to do. So it's fine. I was okay. It was all right by me. I just cancelled the tickets, and it was all right. But that's it. If it's your birthday, we do what you want to do.
Which was not very much.
Well, we went for a lovely walk. We had a nice meal in town. And then at night we ate lots of chocolate.
I think sometimes when it's your birthday, you don't want... I'd been working all week, driving a lot. I didn't want to go out and see a film when I was going to be sitting with a lot of noisy people. I didn't want noisy crowds and lots of people. I wanted peace and quiet. It was lovely weather. So it seemed that all I wanted to do was go for a walk, have a meal out, come back, eat lots of chocolate and watch a science fiction film.
which is pretty much what you did. So let's have a look at the live chat. Apparently, yes, Mr. Steve can see the live chat. Can you see it, Steve?
I can.
Apparently, a lot of people want to say hello to you. So how was Mr. Steve's birthday? It was very well. It was very good. Thank you, Leonard. Also, Martha. Can you see it, Steve?
I can. I can see that. Somebody's saying, Mr. Duncan, is Mr. Steve is with you in the same place? Yes, says Mohammed. Yes, we are in the same place. So that's how professional it's looking now.
Yes.
People can't tell that we're actually just in different corners of your studio.
Yes, this is a very slick and smooth setup.
Are there any photos? SueCat77 says, are there any photos of me on my birthday? I'm not sure that there are.
Do you keep banging on something?
Probably.
I think as you're talking, you're sort of banging.
Hi from Brazil.
Are you getting excited?
Estu Aqui. Yes, hello. That's because I just saw hello from Brazil.
Yes, as we all know, Steve is very excited about Brazil. He gets very, very excited every time he sees Brazil mentioned. So,
no, Nicole, I didn't have a birthday cake. I just had lots of because we wouldn't have been able to get all the candles on without causing a fire hazard. Because when you start to get to, my age,
a certain age, yes, there are lots of candles. So we have to call the fire brigade before we light the candles, just to warn them that
just
there might be a big
case.
fire later when Steve tries to blow the candles out. So
either that or we need a huge cake.
So Chinese New Year happened a few days ago, didn't it?
It did indeed.
Would you like to see some Chinese dancers performing for Mr. Steve? Here they come now. Out last week, and watch what happens in a moment. In a moment they pull all the decorations down. This performance ends quite dramatically, doesn't it, Steve?
Yeah, this was interesting because I went out for a meal with a friend of mine.
Is this a long story?
No.
Okay, watch what happens in a moment. Here it comes. In a moment they pull all the decorations down. And the boss looks very unhappy. So watch, keep an eye on the red lanterns. Watch what happens in a moment. the dragon pulls all of... Oh, no, it's a lion. Sorry, I think it's a lion, isn't it? A lion. Watch, he pulls all of the decorations down. Here we go. And there they go. He slightly misjudged that doorway, I think, as all of the lovely Chinese New Year decorations came crashing down.
Afraid that was quite. Yes, I saw that live. I was filming that for Mr. I went out with a friend of mine who's had an operation on his hand, and I thought, well, let's go out for a meal. I mean, sometimes we go for a curry, an Indian meal. Sometimes we go for a Chinese. This time we went Chinese, and when we got there was all this excitement going on because I'd forgotten it was Chinese New Year. So we had this free performance while we were eating. So I got my camera out and thought I'll film that and give that to Mr. Duncan so he can show it on Sunday. And yes, I've never seen that before at a restaurant. We just timed that perfectly. The interesting thing was I was slightly disappointed because this is some kind of traditional Chinese dance, is it not?
It is.
The New Year. But the people inside the costume weren't Chinese at all. They were English.
Well, you can be English and Chinese. You know that, don't you?
No, but no, they weren't Chinese people. You know what I'm saying.
Steve wants to say they were white.
No, I just want to say they weren't Chinese.
Yes, they weren't Chinese.
They were British people.
They were British people.
English.
But you can be
Caucasian.
You can be Chinese and British. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, I know that. I know that, Mr. Duncan.
I think you seem slightly uncomfortable there.
No, I'm not uncomfortable. I'm just saying that you would expect. I thought it was slightly strange that the people doing the traditional Chinese dance weren't in fact Chinese. They were just obviously English people that had learned how to do it.
You know what's happening, actually? The thing is, there are a lot of people who aren't Chinese who are interested in China. So we call them cinephiles or sinophiles.
Ah, right.
Sinophiles or cinephiles, because they are very interested in things sort of Chinese and sometimes things that are to do with Asia or, dare I say, Oriental things. Although I don't think people use the word Oriental anymore. It seems a little too heavy-handed. So you don't often hear people say Oriental anymore. It's sort of lost its fashionable usage. So there it was. But I think it's quite amazing. And there it goes again. Yeah, the decorations all come crashing down. Maybe that was part of the performance. Who knows? Maybe that was supposed to happen. I
don't know, but it made the meal very exciting.
It was.
But when they took their masks off at the end, the costumes off, I thought, oh, okay. But then they're probably because they're in such demand. There aren't enough Chinese people who are trained in doing it in the dancing. Maybe, I don't know.
Yes. Well, I think this is something we talked about the other day. What I said was when many people leave China, they kind of want to forget that they came from China. I mean, I know what I'm talking about, by the way, because I lived in China for many years, and most of the people that wanted to leave China also wanted to forget about living in China. They wanted to start a new life and have a new way of living. So I think that's partly due to the fact that they just want to push that kind of aside. Maybe I'm going to get into trouble for saying that, but I think it does happen. There is a sort of westernized way of wanting to exist. So you're sort of pushing it aside. But of course, it works both ways, I suppose. You can have people who aren't Chinese being interested in Chinese things.
Oh yes, nothing wrong with it. I just thought I'd never seen that before. Whenever I've seen traditional Chinese dancing, it's always been Chinese people inside the costume, which is what I would expect. But fine,
of course,
no problem.
Of course, in Birmingham they have Chinatown.
They do.
Many Chinese people live in Birmingham.
Yes. Yeah, it's a very large community.
So, talking of China and talking of the Chinese New Year. I believe you got some gifts as well, didn't you? So some fortune cookies.
This is something that they had on the table for Chinese New Year, which I think is traditional. They were giving away gifts. An orange inside there, Satsuma.
Can you just open it? Can you open your fortune cookie? Because there is a fortune cookie. I'm going to turn your microphone down while you do that. So there is a fortune cookie inside the package. So I'm going to get Mr. Steve to open the fortune cookie, and then we are going to see what it is. Okay, throw the paper away.
There's the orange, which I shall eat later, and I've got some sweets, Chinese flavoured sweets.
Okay,
maybe
let's just skip to the fortune cookie.
Fortune cookie. There we go. Let's have a look, shall we?
Let's see what your fortune is, Mr. Steve.
Ooh,
let's
right.
see what.
Oh, I see.
You have to.
So
You have to break it, and inside there is a message.
Oh, yes, look at that. There is.
Okay, then.
You're right, Mr. Duncan.
I'm right. So what's the message, Mr. Steve? Read it out.
It's very small writing.
Oh, dear. The message is probably you need some glasses.
No, I can read this. A person is never too old to learn.
Ah.
A
That's it.
person is never too old to learn.
A person is never too old
Well, that's
to
very
learn.
apt as we're teaching English to people of all ages.
Yes.
And it's also in many different languages, not just in English.
That's good.
Strangely enough, it's not in Chinese, but there you go. Yes, a person is never too old to learn.
So there it is, today's thought for the day.
That's my thought for the day.
Also, actually, they should be cliche cookies, or cliche, because it's a bit of a cliche.
I want to eat that fortune cookie now.
It's a bit of a cliche. It's a cliche cookie. So these are special cookies that contain cliches. You're only as old as you feel. That's probably another one.
It'd be interesting to know the ages of people watching us today.
Well, I know for a fact that I have people of all ages, from teenagers to people as old as us.
Well, can we ask right now for people to tell us their age?
I don't think that's appropriate.
Well, they don't have to say who they are.
Well, I will know
no.
who they are because it'll be in their message.
I know, but we won't say who it is. I'd be interested to know if there's somebody, say, 90 watching us right now.
I have a good idea. Let's have some. Would you like to see some dog idioms out there? Would you like to see Mr. Steve deliver some dog idioms? Because it is, of course, the Chinese New Year, and it is the year of the dog. There you go. Look at that. Dog idioms and expressions. And here he is, Mr. Steve, with some dog idioms and expressions. What's that woman doing? I think she's doing the twist.
The year of the dog. But when people have dogs, they take them for a walk. It's a good way of meeting new people. Everyone who's got a dog, you go out and what a lovely dog you've got. Oh, lots of people meet, don't they? Taking their dogs out for a walk and end up getting married or having affairs.
It's a good excuse for going out.
It's a good excuse for going out and meeting, because if you've got a dog, people think you must be a nice person, so they're drawn to you.
They are.
Right. Now you will notice a big change with the way that I've presented my expressions and idioms.
Okay.
I'd like to know who's the first person to notice.
Is the difference that we can actually read them for a change?
How about that?
Wow, that looks amazing. That looks so professional.
I've printed them out, Mr. Duncan.
Wow.
So there's the first expression or idiom,
Wow.
a dog's life.
A dog's life.
So what does that mean? A dog's life, it means unpleasant, boring, but we have to do it anyway to earn a living. It's normally applied to people at work. So two people might be talking, and somebody might say, "Oh, every day is so boring at work," and their friend might say, "Yes, it's a dog's life." It just means, just like a dog who might lead a very boring life, it just means the drudgery of day-to-day living. A dog's life. If you've been working in a boring office for 20 years, it's a dog's life. Isn't that right, Mr. Duncan? Unlike your life, which is anything but.
What are you saying? Are you saying I have an easy life?
No, I'm saying your life is not boring or unpleasant.
It isn't boring or unpleasant. It certainly hasn't been boring over the past few weeks.
A dog's life.
Oh, setting up the new equipment here in the studio and getting Mr. Steve to stop chewing his fingernails. That was even harder.
Chewing my I do chew my fingernails.
This is true. So, another one.
And here's another one. Dog tired.
Dog tired.
Dog tired, which is what you and I will be after this show. It just means very tired. I've been up since 5 a.m. today. I'm dog tired. You look dog-tired today, Mr. Duncan.
So if you are dog-tired, you are exhausted. You are shattered.
You've been working hard all day. You're as tired as a dog that just flops down and falls asleep instantly. That's the reference there.
That's a good one.
So you can work like a dog.
Mm.
So that's slightly... work like a dog just means to work very hard.
There's one thing I've noticed so far. Most of these seem to be negative.
Ah, yes. I've put them into some kind of order.
Oh, okay.
So these are all the negative ones.
I must say, so far, they're not cheering me up very much.
There aren't many cheerful ones.
They're not very cheerful.
There aren't many cheerful idioms with dogs. They're all referring to negative
Yes.
aspects of
Yes.
things. So work like a dog means to work very hard, without any rest. It's been non-stop today at the office. I've worked like a dog. Because obviously dogs, when they are working, work very hard. They might be pulling sledges or something. So there's the reference there. Or they might be herding sheep, but they're always working hard. So if you work like a dog, it means you're working very hard indeed.
Did they used to send dogs down the coal mines?
Probably.
Do you think so?
I think that was ponies, wasn't it?
They could like put a little axe on their heads, and they could just chip away at the coal.
Oh, I
with
see.
their
You're
heads.
being funny.
Did they send dogs down the coal mines?
I don't know. I don't remember that. Donkeys. They used to send donkeys down the dog. I don't remember.
Donkeys?
Yes, donkeys.
How on earth would you get a donkey down a coal mine?
Well, because donkeys are short and they're squat, so they can fit down the tunnels. And they're strong. They've got powerful legs.
So they can get a dog down the coal mine then?
They can, but I don't think they're strong enough to pull out, great big lumps of coal.
Well, you could tie them all together. You could have like a dozen dogs, and they could pull the coal up, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, they're very good at pulling sledges, but I don't think they use down mines.
Okay, then. Are you sure about that? I'll check
Positive. Well, they don't use donkeys anymore, do they?
They don't use donkeys, and they don't send children down there anymore either. Well, certainly not in this country anyway. Not in England.
Well, what about this expression, dog eat dog?
Ooh.
Or it's usually used in a sentence like, it's a dog eat dog world.
Another negative one?
Yes. So that means really take what you want and look out for yourself, because that's what everyone else is doing. A dog eat dog world. So the suggestion is that it's a very competitive world. It's like being out in nature where it's survival of the fittest. That's what that refers to. So somebody might say it's a dog eat dog world. If you want to be successful in your career, look out for yourself. Look out for number one. Sometimes that's used if you're working in the stock market, for example, or if you're working in a very competitive industry where it's survival of the fittest. It's a dog-eat-dog world. And sometimes if you're feeling a bit down about work, or you've lost a job, or somebody's got a promotion over you, then that's what that's referring to.
It's a very harsh expression.
Yes, it's a dog. Yeah, dog-eat-dog. Right, here's another one. A dog's dinner. Again, another negative one. A dog's dinner is something that looks a mess, uncoordinated, unstructured. A dog's dinner, usually referred to the way people dress, what they dress in. So strange or unusual mix of clothes that doesn't look right. Look at what she's wearing. It looks like a dog's dinner. So they might wear, inappropriate clothing, or it just doesn't look right. Or they might put a strange skirt with a top that doesn't match. But it doesn't necessarily refer just to the way people dress. You could be looking at a window display in a shop.
So just something that's a mess.
That's a mess.
They've made a right mess of that. It looks like a dog's dinner.
Yes, you could set the table and not do it very artistically. Or sometimes you see window displays in shops and it just doesn't look right. Oh, what a dog's dinner. This studio, Mr. Duncan, what a mess. It looks like a dog's dinner.
My studio is nice and tidy at the moment. Leave my studio alone.
Well, let's pan the cameras round, shall we? Because obviously a dog's dinner literally looks a bit of a mess. So here's another one. gone to the dogs.
Oh yes, I know this one.
If something has gone to the dogs, it's lost all its good qualities, and it's gone bad. Jane used to look after her appearance, but she's gone to the dogs.
I've never heard it used to describe a person.
Yes.
It's normally a thing, isn't it? Like I don't know. Politics isn't the same as it used to be. It's gone to the dogs.
Yes, yes, that's it. I was going to come on to the other way of using it. It can be used to describe a person's appearance, but it could be used to describe anything. Like you might go to a certain shop, and then you go back and it's all gone a bit off. It's gone a bit scruffy. They don't have the things you want anymore. So you could say, oh, that shop's gone to the dogs. I'm not going to shop there. Or that company's gone to the dogs. It's been neglected. It hasn't been looked after. And so you decide not to go there anymore. Gone to the dogs. Here's another one. They're all negative. He or she is a dog.
Hang on a second. Now, are we going to upset people with this one?
Well, I'm not going to accuse anybody particularly, but
yes, but I don't think this is a. Now, if we are going to get complaints today, it's going to be about this particular phrase.
We won't get complaints. So if you just say to somebody, if you're talking about somebody behind their back and say, "Oh, they look like a dog,"
oh my God,
it means that they are unattractive.
No, please.
I'm using it. It's something used in English. So there we go.
That's
what a dog.
Yes, someone said that. Someone said, by the way, that all of my equipment that I used to use has gone to the dogs.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Well done, whoever said that.
So if you refer to someone as a dog, what are you actually saying?
It means they're unattractive.
Unattractive,
or they're basically unattractive. You wouldn't want to go out with them.
Yes, because it's often used
negative.
It's often used towards females, though, isn't it?
It is often used,
and it's very, very, very offensive.
Females,
it's
yes.
incredibly offensive.
Said behind their back, you wouldn't say it. It would be men talking together.
You would never ever say to a woman, you look like a dog, or you are a dog. Oh my goodness! I think that's up there with maybe the worst thing you can say to a member of the female sex.
So now we're releasing this expression onto the men's world, and they might be using it in all these countries.
Yeah, look, I've just got my new equipment, and we'll get closed down now because YouTube have started closing people down because if they don't like what they say, they just shut them down.
Well,
so please be careful, Mr. Steve.
Let's move on quickly then.
I don't want Mr. Steve to be responsible for me losing my channel.
So here's an expression: to be like a dog with a bone.
Oh, okay.
So that means that you won't let go of something. For example, Martha keeps asking me about my new boyfriend, but I don't want to tell her. She's like a dog with a bone. So a dog with a bone, obviously you can't, they keep on to that bone. You can't get it away from them. So here's another way. My boss keeps asking me about the new project at work. I don't want to talk about it, but he's like a dog with a bone. They keep talking about it, keep going on about something all the time. Let sleeping dogs lie.
Oh, I like this one.
Let sleeping dogs lie. That means sometimes it's best to let sleeping dogs lie. So what that means is sometimes you don't want to keep talking about something with somebody because maybe they'll get upset about it.
Yes, it's something that you have to leave alone.
Yes.
Maybe it's best to drop that subject, or let's not talk about it.
Yes.
Let sleeping dogs lie.
If you don't want trouble. So, for example, yes, say for example, if somebody got money problems and you kept asking them about it all the time, and you would upset them, and then they got very upset and started shouting at you, somebody might say, "Well, you should have let sleeping dogs lie." Yes, because obviously if a dog is sleeping and you keep poking it, it wakes up, it might bite you.
If someone tried poking me when I was asleep, I'd be angry.
Yes. Here's a positive one.
Hooray!
To be like a dog with two tails.
Oh.
That means very happy. Oh, what's up with Bob today? He's like a dog with two tails. Jane has a new boyfriend. She's like a dog with two tails. Now, I hadn't really heard of this one.
No.
But obviously, a dog wags its tail. So if it's got two tails, it's very, very happy.
Yes. Or maybe its tail is wagging so fast it looks as if they've got two tails. Because sometimes when a dog is very excited, it will wag its tail. And sometimes it looks like the tail is almost like becoming two tails.
Yes.
Because it's going so fast. I like my 60 frames per second, by the way. It makes that look very good.
Showing off about his specs again. It's raining cats and dogs. I think everyone knows this one. It just means it's raining very hard. Look outside. It's raining cats and dogs.
It's raining cats and dogs. It might be snowing cats and dogs next week.
It might be. How about this one? Salty dog.
Oh.
Salty dog.
What?
If you describe someone as a salty dog, well, it's actually normally used to describe a sailor. But really, it's sort of an older man who's had a lot of experience in life. A bit rough round the edges, hard drinking, world-weary person.
So,
a salty dog.
Are you getting these phrases from the 18th century?
No, people do. In America, they use that expression.
Really?
Yeah.
People still use that expression. It sounds like something from about 200 years ago.
A salty dog. It means somebody who's been around a bit. They're a bit crusty around the edges, covered in barnacles.
So maybe sort of weather-beaten.
Weather-beaten, yes.
They've been around the world. They've done lots of things.
They've
experienced many things. They've got scars on their face, and they've experienced lots of bad things.
Skin is aged with the sun and the weather.
Okay.
Weather-beaten face.
A salty dog.
A salty dog. So if you see somebody that looks like that, and you live near the coast, maybe. Right. Dog-eared. Dog-eared.
Wait there a second. We've got some live chatters because we don't want to ignore the live chat.
Yes.
Here it is. Here's the live chat. So on Sundays I'm always like a dog with two tails because Mr. Duncan is on with his show. Thank you, Amanda.
Ah.
You can teach an old dog new tricks, says Matt. Also, Leonard is here. Leonard. Oh, I don't think Leonard likes your expression.
Leonard just said, "Is Mr. Steve drunk?"
Yes.
I'm not.
Leonard asks, "What a stupid expression with lots and lots of D's and P's."
We don't make them up. We just tell you what they are.
You know, I get the
don't shoot the messenger.
I get the feeling that Leonard is writing with angry fingers.
Yes. Well, I agree. Some of the expressions are stupid, but that's what they are.
Is Mr. Steve drunk? No, he isn't. He's definitely
I'm not. No.
Definitely not drunk. I can vouch.
Somebody's used an expression there, which I'm going to bring up in a minute.
Mm.
But let's go through that one. Dog-eared refers to something scruffy, usually a book or a manuscript.
Yes.
And Mr. Duncan is going to demonstrate a dog ear.
So there it is. You see.
Sometimes when you're reading a book and you want to mark your place, you just turn down the corner of one of the pages, and that's called a dog ear.
And it looks like a dog ear.
And it looks like a dog ear. Of course, that upsets a lot of people because they think you shouldn't do that to a book. But if something that's a dog ear, but if something is dog eared, it just means it looks a bit scruffy. So something that looks a bit dog eared, a bit scruffy, usually refers to a book or a manuscript. Every dog has its day.
Okay, this is the last one, by the way, because we are running out of time.
Oh right. Oh well, I'll do these very quickly. Every dog has its day. That means eventually everyone will have their moment of glory or chance of revenge.
Ooh.
Every dog has its day. Everyone. Andy Warhol said everyone has 15 minutes of fame. So that's sort of so every dog has its day. That means eventually people are working hard, so eventually you'll get your moment of glory. Somebody put this up, so I want to show this one. You can't teach can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Ah.
Used to indicate inflexibility when getting older, that it's very difficult to learn new tasks the older you get.
Yes, well, that's true. That's because that's what's been happening to me this week. I've been trying to learn lots of new things.
Yes.
And it's been very difficult. My poor little brain hasn't been able to cope. I've had to learn a lot of new things because of my new computer, new operating system, new software, new equipment, so many things. And yes, sometimes it's very hard to teach an old dog new tricks.
Ah, yes, but you have learnt how to do it. That's the difference. So you're not an old dog. So sometimes, for example, trying to maybe show your mother or your father how to use a smartphone or use the remote control, and they just cannot learn it because sometimes you can't teach an old dog new tricks. The last one
more.
This is appropriate, maybe. Hair of the dog. Hair of the dog.
Oh, I think I know. I've heard of this one before. Normally, after people have been drinking.
That's it. It's a drink you have the next day to sober you up. Sorry, it's a drink you have the next day. So you've gone out for a heavy night's drinking, perhaps.
Yeah. So you're
and
drunk.
you've been drunk. You wake up the next day. You've got a very bad hangover.
Oh.
Hair of the dog is you take another alcoholic drink. That is the idea, or that will cure your hangover.
So the hair of the dog is the same thing that made you ill.
Exactly. So yes,
take it again.
It apparently it comes from the expression that when a dog bites you, you rub the hair into the wound, and that will cure the bite. So the idea is that the very thing that caused you to be ill, you have some more of it, and it will make you better. But specifically,
I don't think that is sound medical advice.
Well, it obviously isn't. It's just an expression.
Anybody out there, if a dog bites you, don't get the hair and rub it into your wound. You might want to go to a hospital and have a tetanus jab.
Well, if the dog bites you, you probably need to have a rabies.
Yes, rabies.
A rabies jab as well.
Just have them all.
Have them all.
Have all the jabs.
Hair of the dog. You often see that. So people go out for nights out. They get drunk and they've got a severe hangover, and their friend might say, "Oh, you want a hair of the dog? You do," which means just have another alcoholic drink. Of course, it doesn't cure the hangover, but that's the joke.
So once again, not very good advice.
No.
Don't. If you have too much alcohol, don't have more alcohol.
That's what it's called if you do it the next day.
The
it's
hair
called
of
the
the
hair
dog.
of the dog.
Very interesting. Yeah. So there we go. We did that today because, of course,
it's
we had dog idioms.
Yes, Chinese year of the dog.
So there they were, some lovely dog idioms. I hope you enjoyed those. It's very, very nice. Thanks, Steve, for that. Now, did you see the Olympics, Steve?
I did. Yes, I did. No. Oh, you mean the Winter Olympics?
Well, which Olympics do you think I meant? What do you think I meant? The Munich Olympics.
I watched nothing of the Winter Olympics at all.
Which Olympics? which Olympics?
Well, didn't you hear there was the Dog Olympics?
What?
The Dog Olympics. Yes, they were on this week as well, Mr. Duncan. Didn't you see those?
The Dog Olympics.
I haven't read my Shakespeare yet.
No. Well, we'll do Shakespeare in a minute. The Dog Olympics. You're making this up.
I know. I'm making it up to cover up the fact that I'd forgotten that you were talking about the Winter Olympics. And no, I did not watch any of the Winter Olympics. I'm not interested at all in the Winter Olympics. You know, that's just me.
It certainly is.
To be fair, I'm not really that interested in the normal Olympics either. But
well, some people think that the Winter Olympics isn't as exciting as the Summer Olympics. And of course, don't forget they don't have the Olympics in the same year. So every 4 years they have the Winter Olympics, and every 4 years they have the Summer Olympics. But most people think I'm losing my voice.
That's because we haven't been doing this for 2 weeks. We're not used to it.
My voice is going. My gosh, that's a national tragedy.
National tragedy or a national celebration.
So the Olympic Games took place, but yes, so there are some interesting sports though.
That get quite a lot of funding.
The Olympic, there we go. Look, there they are. Can you see those, Steve?
Blimey, yes. Are they mascots
I
of
have
some
no
description?
idea. I have no idea what they're called. Does anyone know what the mascots for the Winter Olympics of this year, not from 20 years ago, this year? What are their names? I have no idea. I haven't even seen them on the television. I haven't seen them at all. This is the first time that I've actually seen their pictures.
Well, one looks like a bear, and the other one looks like
A tiger?
a tiger, maybe.
Yes, it looks like a tiger. I don't know why though. Why is a tiger? Are there tigers in Korea?
Oh, maybe yes. It must be Korean, mustn't it? Oh yes, they do have tigers in Korea. I'm sure.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Oh, I've never come. To be honest, I've never come across.
Maybe
that.
someone can tell us.
It's a question I've never asked myself, and now here I am live on YouTube asking, do they have tigers in Korea?
Is anyone from Korea watching right now? They're probably watching the Olympics. They
I'm not
won't be
talking
watching
about
us, will they?
zoos. I'm not on about zoos. I'm on about just wild in the wild. So you might
Yes.
walk down the road. You're telling me in Korea you can walk down the road and you'll see a tiger crossing the road.
Well, I thought so, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know.
Have we got anyone from Korea watching us? They're probably. Mind you, it's over now, isn't it? The Olympics. I think they've had the closing ceremony.
It hasn't finished.
Hasn't it?
There's the Paralympics now starting.
Oh right, okay. So maybe somebody in Korea who's not watching the Olympics can tell us whether there are wild tigers in Korea. Probably not. It's not a huge country, so they've probably managed to get rid of them all, haven't they? I don't know. Well, let's watch the live chat.
Do you know what? I completely, as you were talking then, I completely phased out of what you were talking about. I was thinking about something completely different then.
I'm the one who normally phases out when you're talking.
Tell me what you were just talking about? Because I just literally, I was sort of thinking about something else then. I just went completely to another place.
We were talking about tigers and whether there are any wild tigers.
Okay, that's
in Korea, because we thought that one of those mascots looked like a tiger. And I said, let's see if anybody, keep an eye on the live chat, Mr. Duncan, to see if anyone from Korea who's not watching the Winter Olympics can tell us.
Okay, then. I was hoping that you wouldn't say all of that again. 'Cause I was zoning out again then. So let's have a look. So some of my favourite sports. Mr. Steve, I love the bobsleigh.
Do you?
I do. I think it's very exciting.
Well, it is exciting because they're going at huge speed.
They all squeeze into that tiny little torpedo, and then they fire themselves around that big icy road.
I wouldn't like to do it. I don't like going on fairground rides.
No, I think it's slightly more than a fairground ride.
Maybe that's where you practice. Do you sort of go on the Big Dipper to sort of get yourself used to the speeds of going down in a bobsleigh?
Yes, bobsleigh. I used to have a friend called Bobsleigh.
Was he a slippery character?
He was. Very good.
Oh.
So yes, do you want to see how a bobsleigh works? I've always wanted to know how a bobsleigh works.
Well, I think we know how a bobsleigh works.
Well, how does it work then, clever clogs?
Well, it's slippery on the ice. It's got skis underneath it, and it just goes down a big hill.
But how do you steer it?
Oh, I see. Well, I don't know.
Well, I'm going to show you.
Have they got something sticking out at the back?
Look at that. It's very complex, actually. I didn't realise this, but they have all these pedals and ropes underneath the front. So inside the front of the bobsleigh, there are all these pulleys. And they alter the direction of the little skis, or as they are called, runners.
It looks like a spaceship.
It does look like a spaceship, but look at the people in the. They're all sort of literally squeezed up against each other. I mean, you've really got to be friends with each other, haven't you, before you get into one of those bobsleds. You can't really do that if you don't like the person in front of you or behind you. You know, you've really got to, be very, very friendly with each other.
It's a team sport, and I would imagine they're focused pretty much on making sure they get to the bottom of the run without turning over.
They're all
to worry too
squeezed
much
in there.
about,
Look how they're squeezed in there, though.
Yes, you
It's
keep saying that, Mr. Duncan.
like sardines. It doesn't look very comfortable.
They probably want all the weight, in one place.
Do you want to know what my most favourite sport is, though, Steve? My most favourite sport.
Is it jumping off that big ski slope and then landing again?
Oh, you're so wrong.
What's that one called?
Here it is.
Curling.
Oh, curling.
Yes.
Curling is so exciting. It might be the most exciting sport in the world. They should have curling on television all the time.
Well, didn't we really chuckle the other night when we found out that somebody, because obviously there's a lot of talk about people taking drugs in sport.
Taking drugs. I don't think they're taking drugs.
Performance enhancing drugs like steroids.
They're all at the starting line. Okay, let's do this. Let's get this race going.
Snorting at cocaine.
Snorting cocaine injecting themselves.
They're not obviously doing it.
No,
but
not obviously doing it.
Performance enhancing drugs.
They're all taking.
But didn't we think it was very surprising that somebody doing curling had been tested positive for performance enhancing drugs? I mean, what performance do you need to enhance?
What are you enhancing? I mean, here we go. This is curling, everyone. Maybe the most boring, dull sport, and there are people taking drugs to enhance their performance.
I think they're taking drugs just so they don't fall asleep while they're doing it.
Hang on, that's my joke.
Oh.
Yeah, I was going to tell that joke.
Oh, I didn't know you were going to tell that joke.
Yes. How dare you? How dare you steal my joke from me? I was
I'm
going
very
to say
sorry.
that.
Well,
let's just pretend Mr. Steve didn't say that. So what I don't understand, Steve, is why would they need to take things to improve their stamina? I mean, really, you don't need much stamina. I mean, maybe the people watching curling should be taking drugs just to keep them awake.
Very funny, Mr. Duncan. Oh, I wish I thought of that. Yes, I don't understand what physical training you need for that, because let's face it, the ice is doing all the work.
Yes.
It's just a heavy weight on ice.
Then of course, but of course it's not just pushing. There is also something called sweeping as well.
Sweeping, yes. Well, I sweep my drive, I sweep my backyard. I don't need performance enhancing drugs to be able to do that.
So as the big stone goes along the ice, they sweep the ice.
Perhaps they give drugs to the brooms.
What? Now you're just being silly. So there it is, curling. That's my all-time favourite sport. But you know which one? You know the strangest sport.
That is funny though, to be caught positive to a drug test for curling. I mean, really, come on.
I mean, what are you taking? Are you taking aspirin or I don't know. I don't understand.
What do you need to enhance your performance? It's the skill involved. But perhaps I'm being ignorant here.
I know what it is. It's a bit like bowling though, because sometimes when you bowl, when you push the bowling ball, sometimes you forget to let go. So maybe it's to remind them to let go when they throw the stone forward, when they push it forward. Because if they hold on to it, they'll just slide along the ice with the stone.
I don't get it.
So maybe that's happened in the past. Who knows? But here it is. Here's my favourite one. This is great. I love this. Now this is skiing and shooting with a gun at the same time. Now, if ever there was a sport that sounds made up, it has to be skiing and shooting at things.
What's that strange looking? Where his eyes are, he's got something like a drawing of an eye.
Yes, it's an eye patch. It allows him to look through the crosshairs.
Oh, you mean because the snow is white and blinding?
Well, it just helps him. Yes, it just helps him to get his aim right. But there it is. Yes, so they go out on their skis with a gun, and then they stop, and then they shoot at things, and then they carry on skiing. I
Well,
think that's the most amazing sport.
They'd make very good spies, wouldn't they?
Look at that. It's a bit like James Bond.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I didn't know. That's it. That's how you get trained to be a spy.
That's it. It's a bit like James Bond, that, isn't it? It's completely James Bond. So I think maybe some people watched James Bond and then they came up with this idea. They said, "Oh, let's do that. We saw it in James Bond."
Or maybe it's the other way around. I think you're right. I think what we need is attractive women. Look at who's behind James Bond there. I'm amazed the men don't want lots of women in tight leotards doing exactly the same sport. What are they shooting at anyway?
Tight leotards.
Or skin tight. What do you call those?
They're not wearing leotards in the snow.
Well, but that's what men would want to see, wouldn't
Do
they?
you have any idea what a leotard is? It's just like a bikini. You're not going to go
a
out
jumpsuit then, a jumpsuit.
Yes.
A skin tight jumpsuit. That would make that. You could imagine how much more popular that sport would be.
I think it's popular already.
Oh right, okay. But what are they shooting at? Well, have they got targets?
Yes, they shoot at targets.
They shoot at targets. Yes.
It's actually called a biathlon.
Oh right, okay.
A biathlon. So they ski and they shoot at the same time, just like in James Bond.
I like the eye patch, which actually looks like an eye.
You know, every single James Bond film has at least one person on skis at some point.
I'm thinking of the music now to that James Bond film, that famous one where he was skiing at the beginning, and then he goes over the edge of the ice cliff, and then the parachute opens as he lands to escape from the evil people that are trying to kill him. But yes, it's funny, Mr. Duncan.
It's like I'm there. You described it so well. I think you're on about it's You Only Live Twice.
The Spy Who Loved Me? I don't know.
The Spy Who Loved Me. Oh, it's The Spy Who Loved Me. Maybe it is, yes. It was Roger Moore anyway.
It was Roger Moore.
Roger Moore.
If anyone remembers that, we're talking about something in the 1970s or 80s, probably.
Something in the 1970s. There are people here who remember the 1970s, including you and I.
Did we get anybody saying how old they are watching us today? Who was the oldest person? They ought to get a prize.
I think it might be you. You might be the oldest viewer and also participant.
Well, I'm the only participant. That is funny, though. A James Bond film has inspired an Olympic sport.
I think so. I think it's great. Yes, definitely.
We know it's the other way round.
Yes, of course, it is the other way around. But I still think that number one must be curling. Maybe in the next James Bond film, maybe there will be people chasing him with big brooms and curling stones. So maybe the plot of the next James Bond film will revolve around curling.
Is bowls in an Olympic sport?
You could put a stick of dynamite
if curling
in the broom.
If curling is an Olympic sport, is bowls an Olympic sport? I can't remember.
What do you mean bowls?
You know, bowling.
Well, what do you mean bowling as in...
Bowling, yes. Is that an Olympic sport?
You mean bowling as in 10-pin bowling?
No, I meant you know, where lots of old people play bowls.
Lots of old people?
Yes.
Play bowls?
Yes,
I don't know
bowls.
what you're talking...
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Can you show me the photograph to represent that?
Bowls is a game played traditionally by men over a certain age.
Is it?
Yes.
So no women play it?
Women do play it, but, you know...
But
it's
that's not
mainly
what
men.
You just said that men mainly play it.
Well, yes, men mainly do play bowls, and they've got these round wooden balls, and they have to just like it's like curling but on grass.
So it involves balls,
and then you have to bang the other. But it's the same thing. But if curling is an Olympic sport, why isn't bowls an Olympic sport?
I don't think it is. No.
Well, it should be.
I don't know why. I have no idea why bowls.
It should be.
It is a British game, though, isn't it?
It's a British game, but obviously curling is an Olympic sport because it's done on ice.
Yes, and it's done in many places.
Well, only where there's ice.
Well, yes, that we know that. we're
you
very
can play
aware
bowls anywhere
yes,
where there's
course.
grass.
You can't have the Winter Olympics in South Africa.
Well, so why don't you have the normal Olympics, the whatever you call them, the Summer Olympics, I don't know, in any country, and just have a patch of grass and play bowls?
Well, that might work in some places, but it won't work in others. It might be too hot.
Well, bowls is played outdoors in the summer.
But not many people play it.
Well, not many people play curling, do they? I don't know anyone that does curling, but I know people that do bowls.
We might have some Canadians watching. Curling is very, very popular.
Oh, Mr. Duncan, you just won't let sleeping dogs lie. See how I did that? Oh, I'm so clever.
I did.
Oh, you're like a dog with a bone, Mr. Duncan.
Apparently, asthma medication. Asthma medication is the new thing that a lot of people are doing to enhance their performance.
Yeah.
Now, I suffer from many years with asthma, and sometimes I have to take some asthma medication.
I haven't noticed your performance going up.
My performance goes the opposite way. I normally have to have a lie down after I've had a big puff.
What is this? What is this asthma medicine that is enhancing people's performance?
Well, it's not the one I'm taking.
I'm gonna go wheezing to the doctor, I think, next week to say I think I've got asthma, and then I'll get this performance enhancing drug. Well, there you go. Have we run out of things to say, Mr. Duncan?
No, I'm just waiting for the enhancement to kick in. I'm waiting for it to start. It isn't
well, I
starting.
haven't taken it.
Ah, dear. So, are we back next week?
Well, I am. I don't know about you.
Are you?
What time is it? Is
it
it 20 past 4? And I haven't even read out my sonnet. Should we do that next week?
What? I thought because we weren't here last week. I thought, as a treat, we would go on for another half an hour.
Okay.
So we're staying on now until 2:30. Sorry, in 2:30. I wish it was 2:30. 4:30.
4:30.
I hate these time differences.
2:30 is your appointment at the dentist next week. 2:30. We've done that one before, but never mind.
Well, I did try to get things going again, but Steve brings everything to a grinding halt.
I'm sure some people are laughing. But are they laughing at us or with us?
You have a sonnet.
I have a sonnet.
Do you know what a sonnet is?
It's a poem.
It's a type of poem.
It's a type of poem.
It's a sonnet. It's a poem in verse form. And it has 14 lines of iambic pentameter. Do you know what iambic pentameter or pentameter is?
Oh, you're right about the 14. I've just counted it.
Yes.
No, I don't know what. What is it? And a triambic parameter.
Iambic. Pentameter or pentameter.
No, I don't know what that is, Mr. Duncan. You are the expert.
It actually
English
refers
teacher.
to the way in which syllables are placed in the poem. Apparently, Shakespeare's sonnets have a distinctive pace, which is due to the rhythm and style of not only the writing but also the way in which each word is stressed when recited.
Say it again. What's it called again?
It's called an iambic pentameter or pentameter.
Iambic pentameter.
Hmm.
I shall remember that when I'm reciting it.
Oh, we've got it coming up on the live chat as well. Yes, Aridas. Yes, well done. So when you hear Shakespeare's work, you don't realise that there is a lot of other things going on as well in the way that the words are written, the pace, and even the sounds that are made by the words. It's very intricate. So I believe you have a sonnet for us.
Down here, yeah, I do indeed.
Ooh.
I have a sonnet. Do you want me to read it, Mr. Duncan?
Yes, please. What is it from, and what is it, and what is it called, and all of that?
To get technical, it's sonnet number 18. Shakespeare wrote apparently 154 sonnets, or poems, types of poems. Most of them are related. Most of them are involved, of course, to do with love and emotions. This is a particularly well-known one. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou oust, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal line to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. Now, what on earth does that mean, Mr. Duncan?
Are you going to tell us, Steve?
I am, yes. So this was written to, obviously, it's written to somebody who's very attractive. This person is very attracted to this particular person. So they are saying, well, they want to express the amount of emotion and love that they feel for this very attractive person. So they say, well, can I compare you to a summer's day? Shall I compare you to a summer's day? And the answer is that no, they're much better than that, because then they go through all the negative aspects of summer's day. So you're more lovely. So to say it in common English speak,
Okay.
you could say, shall I compare you to a summer's day? No, you are more lovely and more modest. Rough winds shake the trees in May and shake the buds off. Summer doesn't last very long. Sometimes the sun is too hot. Sometimes the sun is obscured by clouds, but your beauty isn't. And all fair things, even like the flowers, they all fade away in the summer and go away. But your eternal summer shall not fade. You won't grow old, you won't die, and as long as somebody can read this poem, you will live forever. So it's a beautiful poem, actually, and that's approximately what it means. Of course, there are always many different ways to interpret what these old sonnets and poems mean, but it's basically saying that this person is more beautiful and long-lasting than the summer.
Some people believe that Shakespeare also is talking about himself. He's taking pride in his own words. So he's actually saying that the words live on as well. And it's almost, some people believe that Shakespeare was actually maybe bragging slightly by saying that these words live on. They live on forever. Certainly the last couple of lines at the end sort of seem to hint at also, you will remember these words forever, these great words that I wrote.
Yes. Does it mean that, or does it mean that he's talking about this particular person that he finds very attractive, that if you read about this, then they will live forever? Or is he talking about himself and his words living forever? Is he being very egotistical? But of course, nobody really knows. We're not experts in Shakespeare. You'd have to maybe refer to a Shakespearean scholar, an expert, to know. But I think when you read it, you can find your own meaning in it. But it's quite interesting. It's a famous sonnet and a famous poem, and there we go. Yes. So I hope people enjoyed that.
Also, Shakespeare was very fond of the occasional drink. He was very much into something called ale.
Ale, yes, ale. A type of beer.
In fact, 600 years ago, people actually used to consume ale because it was the only healthy thing you could drink.
Yes,
if you drank the water from the tap or or near the sewer, you would become ill. So in fact, beer or ale was actually used as a substitute for water.
It was. In fact, in London, it was very commonly used. I can't remember when, probably 17th, 18th centuries. until they discovered that you needed to purify water and get rid of the bacteria. They discovered that if you in fact turned it into beer, then it got rid of all. People weren't ill, so they used to drink very weak beer all the time if they were working in factories where there was very hard work, where they sweated a lot and perspired. Need to replace water. They were just drunk the whole time.
Yes, it's great. It's I suppose also living 600 years ago wasn't exactly the nicest experience. So being a little bit drunk and living in what would be like the end of the Dark Ages, Middle Ages, which wasn't exactly the best time to live. Let's be honest.
I wonder if they realised it was the Dark Ages when they were in there. It must have been, people didn't live much beyond 30, did they, in those days?
Life was short, and many people died during childbirth. There were diseases, there was all sorts of terrible things going on. And of course, there was no control over how people treated each other. There was no real civilized society. So all of those things gradually came to what we have today. Although some people say that we are living in another dark age.
Yes.
Now.
Yes, they could. Yes. Suppression of expression.
It's a very deep way of ending today's live stream. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed today. We've extended. We went on for 2.5 hours. I hope you've enjoyed it. Many people still here. Thank you very much. Let's have a last look.
Yes.
At the live chat, because I know Mr. Steve gets very, very excited.
I get excited about the live chat.
Klebson says it's a good idea to extend a little bit. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it hasn't been too boring. Could you explain what the meaning of dog idiom? Well, an idiom is an expression or a way of speaking, and in this particular case, it's connected to dogs. So
Klebson,
anything to do with dogs.
That is correct. Klebson says, what is the word for reading a poem out loud? It means that the word for that is reciting. You recite a poem. So
to recite, or of course recitation.
Yes, that's it.
A recitation is actually the action of reading something out, or of course you can also read it out or do it by heart from memory.
Yeah. So when I was reading that poem, you can just say you're reading it, but you would say you are reciting a poem or reciting a story.
Hey, we have an answer to the Korean mythology about the tiger. So yes, the tigers don't exist now, but apparently that it's connected to Korean mythology. Oh, now we know.
So that was why the tiger was white.
Yes. Just as I read that, the comment disappeared. So I hope that is true. But yes,
there's a brand of ginseng, which is a traditional herbal remedy. The Chinese do it as well, but also Korean ginseng is world famous for its potency.
Ooh.
And I think there's a brand which has a lion on it.
We're on about tigers.
Sorry, a tiger. It's got a tiger on it. There's a brand of Korean ginseng with a tiger on it, because it's obviously that's showing how powerful and potent that particular brand of ginseng is, because I'm sure I've used it before.
Martha says goodbye. Tarek says nice to watch both of you. I'm glad you enjoyed it, because this week I was a little worried. I wasn't sure if my new computer and my new equipment would work, but fortunately it has. Thank you very much for following us today, and of course I will be here on Wednesday night, late and live. Yes, it is going to be a regular thing every Wednesday, and this is some exclusive news. Exclusive. So I thought it would be a good time to tell you that I will be here on Wednesday 10 p.m. UK time, and also of course next Sunday back right here on YouTube at 2 p.m. UK time.
Late and live.
Late and live.
At 10 p.m. Late and live on a Wednesday.
Yes, late and live on Wednesday night. The time here in the UK will be 10 p.m.
And will I be there as well, Mr. Duncan?
Well, if you are here at that time, then you can be on the live stream. But if
I
you're
should
not, then you won't.
I shall be coming back late from a rehearsal, so
Oh.
I will definitely see you.
Okay then. Sounds good to me. I think I hope you will be there as well. Watching out there in YouTube land. We are going now. I hope you have enjoyed today's live stream. See you next Sunday. Have you enjoyed it, Mr. Steve?
I have very much, Mr. Duncan. Thank you for having me.
It's been lovely to see you in high definition.
Well, that's for the viewers to give us their opinion on that. Do I need more makeup next week?
No,
Somebody, more makeup.
You look great the way you are. It would appear that everyone is happy and satisfied. Thanks, Eugene. Thanks, Belarusia. Thanks, Martha, Olga, Ute, Eleanor. Thank you very much for joining me today. It's been super duper. Thank you, Swan. And we will see you next week. It's Mr. Duncan and
Mr. Steve
saying thanks for watching us today. And of course, you know what's coming next. Are we going to do this together?
Shall we?
Let's try and do it together and see if it works. Okay, I'm going to do that and then say ta-ta for now, okay?
Okay.
Are you ready? So, until next time, you know what's coming next.
Ta-ta for now.